My name is Carol Bethel.
And my name is Lois Moller. And we merged with, we are part of the centenary congregation, or we were, and we merged with Moran United Methodist Church in 2008, and we're going to be talking about that merger.
It was the second time that my husband and we were married at Liberty Park United Methodist Church, and then their congregation dwindled, so then we joined Centenary United Methodist Church. We know the Mollers and several other families that were going there, and it just seemed like a natural progression. We thoroughly enjoyed our congregation and our activities there.
And it was a vibrant congregation when we first moved there, and my daughter was in junior high and needed a youth group. And your son?
Yeah, our son also was just going into junior high and needed to be in a youth group at the church that we'd been going to. He was the only youth in the church, and he needed to have other young people to do activities with and just to worship with.
As the years went by, the congregation got smaller, and we suddenly found ourselves really struggling.
Yeah. I was beginning to wonder if I was the official church closer, because we had had that problem at Liberty Park, and now here we had it again. And so, but we knew we had to find another church of our faith that we were comfortable going to.
Well, we were really, there were like 12 to 15 of us that were trying to do, we had so many hats, we were trying to do it all. We were, we would be going to church, and we'd be doing this and helping with coffee hour and teaching Sunday school and doing so many things that by the time the morning was over, we were exhausted.
Yeah, and I can remember my husband and I would come on, and so other folk as well, would come on Saturday and we'd clean, and try and get things ready, because we, of course, didn't have the funds to have a janitor. So we were doing janitorial, and Mike was working with the sound system, and, it was just, you wore many hats.
And we were struggling financially. The roof needed repair. We had it was a flat roof. It was a very nice building, but the roof was flat, and we'd had so many issues with the roof, and we needed a new roof, and other repairs that we really didn't have money for.
There really wasn't any funding for it at all.
No.
We were barely keeping the lights and the heat going and like that, because with about 15 to 20 people, and many of them were elderly and living on fixed incomes, and it was really difficult.
And Tom Wallace was really the backbone of the church. He had been raised at Centenary, and his family for several generations had been part of Centenary. And we did some talking, and he was thinking that maybe we might need to close the church, because we just didn't have funding, and we're not able to do what we needed to do. And so I think he contacted the district superintendent, and we had a conversation with him, and he contacted the conference, and they sent over Craig Parrish, who was the treasurer at the time. And so we had several conversations with him and meetings.
Yeah, and he indicated that if the bulk of the congregation went to another church, we could sell the church and the parsonage, taking that funding with us to whatever church we joined. Of course, it should be another Methodist church.
Yes, it needed to be a Methodist
church. So that's what we got together, the few of us that were there, and decided that was exactly what we were going to do. And of course, we kind of had ties with Moran, because Moran is considered to be the mother church, because we were a seed starter from here, from Moran.
Yes, we were. Only we didn't know that.
We didn't know that at the time.
They had, many years ago, they had sent out people from the Moran congregation to plant a church, and that church became Centenary.
Centenary.
And Centenary had 3 different buildings. The first building had a fire. The second building was demolished because of the freeway.
Yeah.
And the third building is still standing on 11th and Freya, on the corner of 11th and Freya. And so we decided that Moran would be the church that we'd like to merge with. And so Barb was contacted, and so that is what happened. But the Moran congregation, several people came to Centenary and to some of our services before we closed, and just many of the meetings, and we felt a lot of support from
Yeah.
Moran.
It was like joining a loving family coming here, because they had many of them. Betty Deach and just Jeannie Cook,
Jeannie Cook.
and quite a few had come to our board meetings and had seen the pain that we were feeling, and were more than willing and ready to have us join with them.
Yes, and so it was a smooth transition.
It was.
Transitions are not always that smooth, but before the last time we were in the building, our pastor at the time, Barbara Caviezel, had a group of us go, whoever wanted to,
Yeah.
people from Centenary, and there were people from Moran. She had us come to the building, and I think she felt our pain. She knew how painful it was for us to give up the church and to just let it go. And so we came one evening, and she blessed each room in the building. She blessed the ministry that occurred in that room. And we went from room to room, and it was so meaningful for us, and I think it made it easier for us
did.
to let
I think
go.
we shed a few tears, but we also rejoiced in the fact that we had been able to be a blessing to our community, and that we'd fulfilled our work there.
Yes. Thankfully, Moran was interested in some of the historic pieces from Centenary. We had several beautiful old oak tables carved, and we had an everlasting light, and so these pieces some of these pieces are in the sanctuary, some of them are throughout the building, and so there's also a trunk.
I think it's back behind the door here, over here, and it contains a lot of historic documents from Liberty Park, and from Centenary,
Yes.
the early church documents, and people that were founders of that church.
We really feel that we've come full circle, because we started apparently at Moran, the Centenary people, and we have come full circle back to our home.
Yeah, we've come home. Yeah.
Which is Moran United Methodist Church.
Yeah.